So here's the estimate of this situation. So I'm kind of walking around Portland. I'm checked out of the hotel. This is all going to be just dipping it. So I need your help here. Keep it going until I got to leave. It's not till 4:45 p.m. PST. So gonna wait on the train. You know how that shit goes. So welcome everybody. Retweet the space. I guess get some people in here. We can talk about whatever UAP related, liminal spaces. Talk about what's going on in the news lately and the UAP topic. And I really want to talk about Julia. Have you heard about Julia, Astral?
No, what's that?
Holy shit, dude. What's up, Carl? So Julia, what's up, Michael? So Julia is that supposed island, like AI-driven island that creates. There's this whole 4chan leak, right? Doesn't mean it's real, but I really want to talk about that shit because it kind of ties in with the whole bloop that was in the ocean that was supposedly icebergs crash and settling, whatever the fuck you want to do, right? And Michael, if you want to come up here and yap, come on up, man. Skeptics are allowed. We ain't hating. You're not necessarily a skeptic. I guess we just on different sides of the spectrum on what's here, right?
You scared him away already, bro.
Hey, Nora, if you want to come up and talk, you can't. We don't want you up here. I'm playing. You're always welcome, Nora.
Where's this island at, though?
That's the thing. So look, David Grush talks about the NRO having satellite images, kind of something, right? Or something along those lines. And I was kind of reading that leak, and the thing travels, man. So here's the deal. So supposedly this thing just roams the ocean, creating at will. Now, what Commander Fravor saw, this is just piecing stuff together. This is not the legit. I don't know for a fact. I'm just giving you guys what I'm talking about here. So this remote-controlled AI island, it's monstrous, which also, to me, ties into, I think, Lou Elizondo talks about a special ops team going to retrieve a missile. Something comes out of the water and grabs that shit. I think that's the same thing. Well, this thing supposedly has been here for a minute, and what it does is it creates at will what it needs. It needs a tic-tac that's science-driven. Bam. It needs a tic-tac that's going to probe us. Bam. And so what had happened is this. It doesn't necessarily, it's not a aggressive thing, but it will destroy us. And I guess there's been instances of that. Like it will defend itself and all these other things. So it's a whole thing. I need to post that leak. I actually found it. Somebody posted it from 4chan. It's fucking crazy, dude. It's seriously crazy as hell. But it kind of ties in what he was talking about. And I think for me, it would explain a lot. So it's under the ocean, just roams around, not necessarily anything in it, and it's just putting out what it needs to continuously monitor us and things like this. And it talks about what happened with the crash retrievals, why there used to be crash retrievals of bodies, and then it realized that, so it's a deep rabbit hole. I can't believe you haven't heard about Julia. But take over real
Why
quick.
is it called Julia?
I don't know. I was actually behind the times on this shit. I jumped into a thread, and they were talking about what the satellite images David was talking about, and somebody was postulating they wondered if it was Julia. I was like, what the hell is a Julia? And then they posted that link, which it kind of connects with the bloop in the ocean. It also connects with something that Elizondo talks about with when they were retrieving, that special ops team was retrieving a missile, and something just pops out of the ocean and just grabs that shit, right? So give me 2 minutes and I'll find it and post it in the thread. Actually, in was it Jumbotron? Hey,
and I think
the way,
Chris Sharp talked about the Tic Tac, and then
yep,
something was like underneath the ocean
that's
and stuff.
it.
That was
That's
a crazy
Julia.
article.
That's
Oh
Julia.
shit, for real?
That's
Oh, okay.
That ties in with this leak. Is what I'm trying to tell you, in my opinion. Now, here's the other thing. I'm also walking around in Portland, so if you stop hearing from me for a few minutes, I probably got fucking mugged by somebody.
You got shanked.
Yeah, this is Portland, man. I'll put it in the jump in the nest. Give me a sec.
All right. Hi, Shane. Yeah, man. Hi, Shane. Nice to hear from you, man. Oh, man. I've just spent like 3 hours listening to Red Panda Koala's playback thing, and my fucking brain is pickled. And Shane just drops Julia. Oh, man. I don't think I can fucking do this.
It's crazy, dude. I'm trying to find it too, because I actually didn't know anything about it, and someone posted the Anon link, And I'm like, holy shit, this would actually, if it was legit, Julia's just a name given to it. If the government NRO has known something's been here, we know there's USOs, right? This shit under the ocean, AI driven, it's literally creating to study us or do whatever it is. And it doesn't necessarily, it's not hostile unless we, and it has apparently taken people out, but only if we are hostile. But it explains so much, right? But it's so wild. But then again, I didn't think we'd be here right now. I didn't think David would have talked about the shit that he's already talked about. Anybody else kind of blowing the fuck away that some of the stuff is out now in the congressional record?
Yeah. And you know what is I tell you, Shane, this is so fucking crazy.
For Julia.
The synchronicity. I've been asking like the NHI, the phenomenon, are like questions about like what side are you, like who are you, and like where are you from, and can I trust you, and these sort of, because I need to know. And god damn, and then I like, it was been like 48 hours of nothing from the phenomenon, like nothing, like, well, apart from like last night, there was like a little, like something right above my head, like sort of checking me out, and that went off, and then there was another thing. I think the phenomenon, there's another dot, and it made like the golden ratio on the triangle of 2 stars, and then I kind of like went indoors, and I kind of shut off from it. But then I find the red panda koala fucking the whole thing about Lou Elizondo, and now I come in here and you have got the Julia thing, and I'm telling you, I kind of know that, because here's the other thing. Like, I was worried about Penchurch, and fucking like I was asking outdoors about Penchurch, like, you know, because I was really pissed off, and it was a trap for like for some beings that they got trapped, and something got hit and exploded. Yeah, but I came indoors after seeing 2 orbs outdoors. I saw 2 kind of orbs that looked like kind of dandelions, but they weren't. And I came indoors, and I was stood in the front room here, and I was looking out the window, and this fucking black, like, it wasn't a balloon, but it was like a black kind of like morphing orb into like a cube, kind of into like the Flight of the Navigator kind of craft, and it kind of arced round and over the treetops, kind of. And the message I got was like, you know, I can take care of business. And it's like what you're saying. Whenever you put out something like to the phenomenon, it like comes back at you. And what you're saying about is Julia. I think you're right, you know.
You think it's caused, or do you think like, yeah, like, do you think it was caused from what you're recognizing as the synchronicities, like precognition sort of way, or do you think it's like at the time of what you were like, why do you think it hit you at that time and was there and made itself known?
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out, Astral, because like I kind of you know how these synchronicities go, like it's kind of like there's so many like data points, and then this thing happens, and it kind of ties it all together. And but it's like but let's just stick with what Shane knows about Julia, because what's interesting there is that when I've asked it a question, it's like come back with an answer either in physical or like multimedia through all like any channel. It's like a chain of events that happen. So I can't answer the question that you're asking, and I've got to work this through.
So real quick, I'll read this off, because I forget that my team puts this on my YouTube and then it uploads it to podcast stations. So let me read this off about Julia. So Julia is a sound recorded on March 1st, 1999 by the U.S. National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. NOAA said the source of the sound was most likely a large iceberg that had run aground off Antarctica. However, pictures from NASA's Apollo 33A5 show the large shadow swaying through the southwest section of Cape Codre at the same time of the recorded sound. Although still classified, the pictures apparently provide information that this unknown shadow is 2 times larger than the Empire State Building. Julia. That's insane. And so that is supposedly, now picture that, what I just described as being what the Tic Tac was trying to dock with, or was being created at that moment, or whatever's being done there, right? And also picture that same thing with another story that Lou Elizondo discusses. I think it was Lou. And he talks about the special ops team that goes to retrieve, I don't know if it's a nuclear warhead or something that happened with a weapon, and they went to retrieve it. As they were retrieving it, now picture whatever Chinook, whatever they're using to pull it out of the ocean, and they're looking down. I mean, it's like from a horror movie. Something pulls up from and just snatches it. I'd shit my damn pants. I'd hope I had my brown pants on that day. Well, I guess I would if they were fatigues, huh? Well, it depends on which fatigue.
There was a conversation that we had. It was in one of the groups where there's a couple, like Joe and John were in there. And we were talking about there's like a little bit of press on the next guy who might be coming out as a whistleblower. He looks a little bit younger, but he's had direct experience and was like on the crash retrieval teams. But they were making a point as like he failed his initial like test, like field, to like get into one of the programs or something. So it wouldn't be likely that he would be one that would be on the top secret. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, do you think there's like things that are able to show that people were actually a part of these crash retrieval?
Dude, I can't believe you said that, bro. Actually, I don't know how to say this without giving, because they don't want a lot of this information out there because it's easily traced back to them. So let me think about this. Hanford has a team, a snatch and grab team. They have a recovery team. I'll tell you that yes, there are ways to see. How do I say this? If you've got installations that aren't necessarily shit. See, a lot of this is so hard to say. Let's just say that it was a veteran who had dealt with program. So people hiring for these programs wouldn't necessarily know they're hiring for them, right? If you're in the real world, you would just be given this. You're supposed to ask for this, 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 and this. And let's just say that it's such a tip of the spear thing that I don't even know if tip of the spear would make it. So it'd be one of those things. If they hired someone, they'd want to know who he knew and his friends to see if they could come, because those individuals that were hired, so tip of the spear, they would only know that tip of the spear. Does that make sense?
Like mentalized, and
Yeah.
so they wouldn't know exactly what they were getting into, but just doing the job based off of
And
what
even the people hiring them wouldn't know what they're getting into. The only given would be necessarily like, and this is just me spitballing bullshit in here. Let's say you're at you're in the middle of America, right? You're at, let's say, Scott Air Force Base in Illinois, really, and it's just a cargo base, not necessarily no nukes, nothing like that. But here's what you do: all of a sudden, you start hiring a shitload of special ops offensive forces. Does that make sense? Not people who can defend, people who are going to be given a task offensively, and they're at that location. And this is kind of, I know it doesn't make a whole lot. What I'm trying to say is, if stuff stands out like that, that's one of the ways you can know. Because, and that doesn't mean necessarily a military installation, guys. What I'm trying to say is, we need to look at DOE installations, because I'm sure there were hiring positions for kind of offensive forces, things like that, right?
But if you look at something like remote viewing and the program, like there's documents that you could look at for who is involved in Grill Flame, and people are openly talking about this. There's no real debate there for the people that were involved in the programs for remote viewing, because it's all been like unclassified and brought into the public. So the people who were involved started the program, the remote viewers to the other organizations that were involved. I think that's a frustration, you know, is in the UFO and UAP, like when you talk about OSAP and the UAP task force and all these things, like there's no documents that are being released that are saying like who's really being a part of these programs. It's just a lot of people saying they were.
You know what eats at me, man? Part of it is this, guys, no doubt. If you don't know, you should go check out Project Unity's channel. Bear with me, guys. He interviews what's his name? Ex-CIA. I'm sorry. Astral, help me out here.
Simi Van?
Not Cindy Van. Oh man, I know his name. I just had a brain fart. Anyway, he gives
John
a guide.
Ramirez?
Yes, thank you. And the reason I say this, it's important. It's literally a guide to how to ask questions. It's a guide how to navigate the government for this topic. No one even knows it, I don't think. Go watch it. Utilize it. Because I've also heard from my sources that it's very particular how you ask these questions. You're only going to get the answer you ask for. So you need to design your questions that way, right? So we take these two facts and we take that, oh man, you know how okay, I should have known from the simple fact that this is no shit. I feel like a buffoon. KOMO, shout out to him for his badass journalism and Klaus for originally posting it. But Hanford has a recovery team. Now, let me tell you something. You know how many times I've asked multiple sources that I trust and they've done nothing to make me think otherwise. And they gave me shit like, you're from where? Yakumi? Like, they just from the shit they said, it's like, why are they know something about this place, but no one will tell me. No one. Now it makes sense why. Because again, people who are in these aren't going to talk about these. This is some shit right here. You've got to either discover or ask the right questions. And it makes so much sense to me now why I've asked so many people. Hell, Astral, you know that legacy whistleblower we had? Did I not say this months ago? He talked about Hanford, but he didn't want to talk about Hanford. It made no sense to me. It fucking does now. Is that crazy? Like, I should have known because 4 sources, they were just like beating around the bush about Hanford, and I couldn't figure out. I thought it was an underground base. I fucking thought there was an underground base or there's an unknown crash retrieval here. But there was a crash in 79 in Elk River here. But I also know this. So, Hanford nuclear site actually has almost all of the United States waste in tunnels underneath it. No shit. So I think
like dark, bro.
Dude. Yeah.
It's like fucking a time portal down there and shit.
Dude. And it's funny because I went on that filming expedition, met Tom King, you know, some good people, and I kept saying, why has nobody come up to Yakima? I mean, everything. I mean, every box is checked. Nuclear, portals, Indian reservation, you know, supposedly because of treaties, they were, well, if you believe the Dolce thing and all these other things, Lear, all this, they talk about one of the things within these treaties with Eisenhower and all this is we gave them land underneath reservations. And it's probably because it'd be undisturbed by us assholes, right? Doesn't mean it's true. Just giving you guys shit that's out there. So, I mean, what do you think about that, Astral?
Say what again?
So supposedly with the Eisenhower Treaty and all these other treaties, well, what I'm saying is this: Yakima hasn't been investigated. I'm calling bullshit. Kufos and Hynek did a study here, but no one ever followed up. When they were here, their studies literally saying some shit's here. We just don't know what it is, and I'm just curious as to why. And for the longest time, I thought it was an underground base because no one would. The people that I would ask about it, they backpedal. Oh, I don't know shit about that. Not talk. It's because one of the crash retrieval teams is at fucking Hanford. What do you think about this? This is what I guess I beat around the bush about. Indian reservations. So according to treaties, if you go back and read some of the things that Lear talk about and all they say, not just Lear, you can also take William Cooper, which guys, yes, I know William Cooper, who he is, but we need to start revisiting things people say. And when the dude was killed in his house, I'm starting to wonder how much of what he was saying was true. Bear with me, guys. So he talks about Dolce. They talk about in these treaties, for some reason, they were given land underneath Indian reservations, which to me, it makes sense because no hustle and bustle from us and all these other things. But you can also take NASA. You can take their study of what they call portals, X tubes, boom tubes. It's energy. Fuck, ley lines, guys. This is ridiculous. Ley lines are real. the energies coming from the sun in specific points and times create, I guess you would say, portals. That's all legit shit. And here's the kicker of all of this: you can go look up study after study that's done, none debunked, but our science said, "Whoa, that's astrology. We can't go with that shit, right? So that's definitely not real." And yet it's not debunked. How many times has that happened? Astral, tell me this: if you had the chance to read these treaties, what would you do with them? Would you tell the world or be like, "This shit's crazy"?
Well, I'll go back to what you were asking about studying a specific location, because I think that is an issue, and there's a lot missing there on how to quantify or measure anything that's going on. So, and I feel like that's a challenge when you were talking about those journal articles. Like, I don't know of any real journal articles that have been accepted and that are scientifically recognized that study a certain phenomenon that would relate to UFOs or UAPs. That's open for peer review. And I think that's the problem, is that there's nobody doing that research. If you would go to somewhere, it would be like Skinwalker Ranch and the Galileo Project. Those are the two things that are trying to do it. The problem with each of those is that the Skinwalker Ranch is just trying to like stimulate the phenomenon and record it. They're not like establishing a repeatable method to study something, which would be helpful if they would help do that. And then with the Galileo Project, it's focused on getting like calibrated measurements in a specific area to be able to measure it. And so they're probably what is going to be looking, the scientific academia community is going to be looking towards when studying these specific locations. But that's the problem, is there's nobody to these locations and has a method that other people can replicate. So if somebody were to come out and be like, okay, here's what you need in terms, like, you need $1,000 worth of equipment in a specific area, here are the measurements you need to take, and you need to be there for like 3 months, and then you can say this is a UAP and it's anomalous. So like nobody's like coordinating that type of network right now, and that's what really kind of needs to be done.
Well, all right, hang on a minute. Can I just say one thing, Shane? Fucking hell, Shane. How long ago did I say that Yakima Valley, dude? How long ago? That's what I'm trying to say. This is fucking.
Dude,
I'm telling you, Carl. Dude. And then, yeah, go on.
Think about this. What you just said, Yakima Valley. Now, no one would believe it. Dude, if I wrote down 2020 when I left Wounded Warrior, my first experience, and what happened afterwards, all the way back to the point that it's almost like they were pointing. This sounds so stupid. It literally, I was dragged from podcast to podcast to Roswell Daily Record to finding a whistleblower. What are the odds? I'm a new reporter. All tangled up in this shit, right? Because I know quite a bit about it, all these other things. And no one would fucking believe a word I said. And here I am sitting. I don't even feel stupid. I'm glad Como came out with it. No one would believe this. KOMO reached out to me months ago when I was, who was the one guy on UFO Twitter? Not just the one, but was obsessed with crash retrievals. I was beyond. And so I would talk to him about things, and he comes back and just blows my mind. It's so interconnected, bro. If I wrote this down, it'd either be a bestseller or people go, this is so fake, it's not real. But I can promise I don't understand any of it. It feels like I've been dragged, right? Blows my mind, dude. Hanford, literally the place that I became obsessed with crash retrievals, has a team where I started experiencing the Yakima lights and discover all these things, man. It's the most insane thing. I just can't even express it.
Dude, what's insane is me telling you Yakima Valley when I said, oh, that's where all the hops and the beer is, man. And that's where I've been sat drinking this beer, going, oh, we got to go to Yakima Valley, man. We got to go there. Oh, man, that is so fucking... And tell me that fucking isn't a synchronicity.
Oh, dude, it is. I literally feel like a puppet sometimes. And that's at the risk of sounding like a whack job, right? So I straddle a line. This is what's, I guess it's good and bad about me. I have to be real because my experience is still going on, so in depth, shared that I have to look at everything and try to talk about some of it. But I also know I want to be taken seriously as a reporter, podcast, things like that. So it's like, what do I not say? dude. The synchronicities are such that I could paint you
there
a
is
line.
no fucking way that is. There is no way that is. There's no way that is not a coincidence.
Yeah,
that is no fucking way.
I'm about to get my DNA checked to see if I'm a starseed, and I ain't even playing.
Don't do that.
Who said it? Why? You don't want me to? Why? Are you jealous I'm going to be a starseed?
Jessica?
Somebody just what's wrong with being a star? I don't even know what's going on, man. I can't be a starseed, or is it a hybrid? What do I need to be here? You guys got to introduce me to this stuff. I don't know much about it. Where's Fringe at up in here? She could tell me about some of this darker shit. I don't know what's going on. Listen, I'll be okay as long as I'm a quarter human. I mean, shit, it's better when I thought I was. So, Astral, another synchronicity, man, that I fact that my focus now is the metaphysical things like that. And literally, I started learning that shit. Remote viewing consciousness, that's where it's at. And that's where you've been. The fact that I intertwine with this group of individuals that give me the support and the things that I need to be my creative outlet, to find my way through these different things. Dude, UFO Twitter isn't all bad, just 98%. 2%'s in here, so we're good.
This is the woo.
Nah,
the woo
man,
Twitter.
I think it's at least 3 or 4%. Come on, don't be harsh.
Yeah, close, huh? Hey, do me a favor, guys. Retweet the space. There's not a lot of people in here, but I guess it's midday on Sunday. I'm kind of walking around Portland, just enjoying the liminal spaces, right? So we can talk about anything UAP related, UFO related experiences, our experiences, anything you think that's important that David's been talking about, all the stuff in the news. This is shit I love discussing. And I just came back from filming. I don't know what the hell that film trip was. Let's not talk about that, but I will say this, that I wanted to have real conversations about this, and I continuously go place to place. Every convention's about that. Sitting with you individuals, talking to other experiences about, and I keep getting disappointed when I go places like film sets, or no one really knows what they want to talk about or what they're talking about. And it's just about different things, right? So get up here, tell me your stories. Even you, Somber-Shane, you can even talk today.
Well, why do you think UFO Twitter is so ahead in terms of the knowledge and the researchers involved and just overall awareness of the topic? Because I go on Facebook and they're still talking about like Weir's hearing, and there doesn't seem to be as much up-to-date emphasis on what's going on currently in other social media or even platforms.
Because I think most of us use Twitter as an off the cuff, just this is what's happening. And then they use the other, like YouTube and things like that, for other things. But I also will tell you this, there's no other collection, I guess you would say, of creators, experiencers, researchers, things like that, right? That sit and talk about it. See, look, UFO Twitter kind of sucks, but the tweets are kind of back and forth. The information here is second to none. Matter of fact, like I said, all the time, and I was going to take my life until I found Luke and figured out what UFO Twitter was, and I realized, oh, other people are having this shit. Then Spaces came about. That's the most amazing shit, right? Shitty, but amazing in some way. I think that UFO Twitter is important just for the simple fact that you don't necessarily have to have, like with Facebook, you got to have your face and everything out there. It's the anonymity on some of these, and it's not necessarily a collection of photographs like on Instagram. It's thoughts. It's like Instagram for fucking thoughts. And that's important with this topic, because most of our thoughts on this topic, we want to keep to ourselves. Most people don't put their faces to it. And when you do, you can expect some crazy shit from it. So Twitter's one of those places that you can do either or. Does that make any sense? To me, it was like,
yeah,
at
that's
first,
a good point, dude.
I was anonymous as hell, but then I realized there's others. And if I can put my face in front of it, other people have done it. Why not?
I think Spaces helped a lot too. It just to be able to have a platform that people were already sort of on, and then to jump in and have the conversation and relate to other people who are in the same level of research that you are,
And that's a killer. I'm not gonna lie here. The only reason I know what I know is because UFO Twitter actually works like my brain. So it's like so much shit, and it's all over. So click, click, and it's just a constant feeding of it. And it's not necessarily a good thing because not all of it's good. But if you stick to where, like for me, I try not to do what I did today, which is wild out and start having internet fights. I try to stick to the UFO shit, right? So for me, it's just a click away that I'm learning something, or you mentioning something, and then I learn it, right? So here's an example. If you're in this room, do me a favor, go in that thread, retweet, but post something about the topic, because I can promise you somebody will eventually click on it and be like, that could be their book moment that Pasolka talks about, that moment they realize, hey, someone else had this experience, saw this thing, let me check this shit out. The other night, Astral, I'm still thinking about your space. An older woman had come in, spent an entire life knowing she had been abducted, but never even talked to her husband, who she knew was also, but she told us, and she felt what? You remember that?
Oh yeah, that was a wild story too.
Yeah, and that's how I started and why I started doing these spaces, because and that was just like, that made me remember, just like, damn. Yeah, I remember when you didn't even know that it was real, and then you finally start listening, and you get the first chance to talk, and then she even said, "Wow, this felt amazing." And that's the
And
good
it
shit.
was from us talking, I think, more about dreams, because she was like, "Yeah, we woke up from a dream, and like my husband was sitting in a position, I was sitting in a position. It was strange." And then she went through the sort of contact that she had. So, I think too, it's like relating to other experiences that people have had that not necessarily are UFO or abduction related, but these contact modalities that people have through paranormal type of experiences.
What's up, Shane?
What up, man?
What's up, guys? I don't have very long. I'm at work. I got a little break, but I think that the reason why the quality of just researchers or knowledge in Twitter, especially on Spaces, is the desire to seek knowledge. So, and also like Shane said, the anonymity that comes with it. You don't have to put yourself out there so raw. But I think that it goes to show you that like you'll get people in Spaces, especially that they'll know about the Hopkinsville goblins. They'll know about everything, right? They'll know about Aurora, Texas. They'll know about all these things because they've researched it and they've come here to seek like-minded individuals about that. And it is really a more of a top tier thing. I see it a lot with a lot of guests where they're like laying down what they think is like this, like, next level shit. It's like, we heard that shit like 8 years ago because we all have researched it all so hard, which is still cool. I just think that, it's not to be underestimated at all how much the people in these spaces know about that stuff and know about the phenomenon and what's occurring.
Thanks for that, Shane. I agree. Yeah, whatever your flavor, doesn't matter where you stand, unless you're going to be disingenuous, kind of cheap, whatever you want to call it. And we don't need to say names in here, Mick. Green Street, Susan Go. But my point is, you're welcome to come and talk about the subject, because one of the other things I benefit from, sometimes this shit is so crazy and wild. My experience is still that, again, shared it with so many people, Roz all over the places, right? How do you pull yourself back from the edge when most doctors, again, that's one of the reasons I started doing UAP Med back a minute ago. I'm still struggling to have a mental health professional I can be like, hey, you want to hear some shit without worry of, medication and things like that, which is something we all deal with. What do you do there? That's kind of it's a very niche thing, but isn't UAP Med? I don't even know. There's got to be more people out there just like, this is stupid. We're having to pretend our reality isn't real. Like for me, mine was segmented for how long? I was just, this didn't happen. For a year, I just pretend shit wasn't happening and I wouldn't look up. That's stupid.
Well, have your conversations changed in the last, I don't know, couple weeks? Have you noticed anything? I've noticed a couple people have hit me up and had mentioned that they've seen it more in the news or even the Grush, like the News Nation thing or the hearing. People that, haven't even hit me up for a while were hitting me up because of the UFO stuff. It's been like an increase of other people that I think are gaining an awareness.
Well, here's my problem. I have no real gauge on reality, just from the simple fact the only people I know are from these rooms, and that's legit. So I could say, yeah, but it's just us, So it's like a box that I'm in. It's not like I talk to a whole
No,
lot of people about it.
I think a lot of people can relate to when other people talk about disclosure that aren't on UFO Twitter, or I don't even think the word is really used, other than people that are really into it, like the ones that are on it every day and checking the and updates. And I think there's an expectation of the information that we want, and then the reality of what the information that the public is going to get through mainstream media, which we think is going to be the most effective way. I think that what is refreshing to see is that there's like other means, other content creators, people who have, done work in the field that are making their stuff and getting just as much exposure as they would if they were like try to go through and be on freaking News Nation for 3 seconds.
And I'm going to segue into my podcast, OldVets UAP Symposium on YouTube. I've got like 3 subscribers. It's my grandma and my parents, so you can all subscribe to that shit. And I'll tell you, Ryan's in here and Mariah, this is the cool thing. This is the community that I know, right? You were just talking about creators and things like that. I literally just talk like I am now. These guys go behind me, fix it, and throw it on my YouTube. Or if they see me on a podcast, they do the same shit, right? All because why? We all have different parts we're playing to get the message out. I just so happen to be really good at talking or bullshitting, whatever you want to call it. To have people that have that much faith in me, we keep each other in check at times. And I know Astral, we've been talking about other things for that same reason. Why not, right? These people are the smartest people on the topic. Someone just posted, what the hell is Ross Coulthart? They need to be getting our opinions. I'm so tired of some of these questions, right? I keep thinking, okay, is our point to ask the same questions that have been asked and get the same answers? Or is develop new questions to get new answers? Because here's one of the ways we do that. Yes, I get he's limited by what he says. But again, go watch that John Ramirez episode. It's a key to how to ask questions and navigate your government. CI guys are only going to say what you ask them. Develop the question properly. You'll get more information without getting the information. Let's say you ask them a question. They can't answer it, and you can see it in their face. What's that do for you? A good journalist say, well, that answers the fucking question. I'm going to dig there. That's what I like to do. I still remember, I'm not going to say the question. I was interviewing Colm Kelleher, and I asked one of those questions. He didn't have to say shit to me. The way he looked at me, I knew the answer. Does that make sense? Develop the question and knock their fucking socks off. You'll get an answer without having one.
Yeah, definitely. People need to stop also throwing softballs at everybody, dude. It's just like, I know you're thankful that they're on your show and everything, but ask them, even if, tell them, like, I love what you do. I love what you say. I'm a big fan of yours, but I feel like we need to look at it from both sides. I don't mean call them like, be reasonable, be a good person. But, like I see a lot of shows where they get somebody on their show, or like when James Fox was in here and everyone's like nervous to talk to him. Like, he's just a regular guy. Just ask him questions. Hell, ask him about his dad. Ask him about, anything else, just anything other than the same 15 questions. Dude, Vet, you just said it, like really good, man. I really appreciate that. I got to get back to work. And Vet, if you can DM me your podcast, I'll pimp it. I'm still banned from posting for 4 days. I'll pimp it. And I'd love to listen to it. I can't DM either. So just if you can shoot me that, it'd be great.
Damn, you hurting bad. Yeah, I will. I'll take care of you. Thanks, Shane, man. Appreciate it.
You guys have a good day, man. Love y'all.
Oh, Shane must have said something bad about Kim Kardashian.
It was actually Lizzo.
Yeah.
I got banned for 7 days for saying something horrible about Lizzo, but she deserved
Let's not repeat it in here.
But I'm not.
But let me tell you this, Shane. Just kill people with kindness. Yeah, kill people with kindness, man. Don't be like me. I losing my shit today over some internet beef. Come on. How? Yeah, that's so dumb, man. We're past that.
You're going at people, Shane. You were.
Well, look, I don't want to rehash, but I've never. I mean, dude kind of threatened me about, and he's like, well, you do something in the MMA gym. And then so I just posted an MMA picture, and then he called me a bully. I'm like, wait, what the fuck just happened? I'm the bully for the, okay. So, and then I lost it. And then thank goodness there's some people in these rooms that are like, hey, this dude not worth it. They're right.
But what was the original argument on? Like, what was the basis of the argument?
Oh, apparently I made a death threat. I maybe I should word it better, but I literally said I buried Calavuto on the topic. I always say that. I said, if you want to talk aliens, I'll bury you. And he goes, oh, a death threat from an illiterate. Nice. And I'm like, wait, what? Okay, Snowflake, hold up. I wasn't threatening to kill nobody. And then, look at me. I'm talking about thanks, Astral, right into the drama. I'm embarrassed for you, Astral. Agent Man's in here. Agent not a number, and he's the one that helped me come out of this shit. He's probably embarrassed for you as well.
Shane, that reminds me of the time I told Darcy to be careful, and he was like, "Why are you threatening me?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, this is what we say in the South. Just be careful."
I mean, I should use different words. I should use, because I say it a lot. Like when I see people talk, in my opinion, here's what I say. If I'm wrong, I deserve to be proved wrong. But if you speak like an expert on the topic, I'm going to fucking challenge you. And here's the thing. Yeah, you may have a chance of embarrassing me, but from where I've been, the people I've talked to, 98% of people talking about this subject do not belong talking about this subject. They may research for 4 hours and then spitball. I don't know. But all I know is this. When you're looking for the real questions and answers and you talk to people and you realize they don't have them because they have no idea what's going on, it's like, oh, hey guys, we're your professionals in these rooms. What do you need? No shit. We talk about this subject so much in these rooms that it's the only people that I call it the big boys tape, that I wish I could get up to. And Astral probably knows what I'm going to say. It'd be like UFO Joe, Stratton, Astral, all these individuals, Lou, people that knew the behind the scenes, anybody in the CR programs, those are the ones I'm wanting, like, hey, they've got to know some shit. And there's others, but I just haven't met or talked to them yet besides in these rooms. You can doubt me on it, but I can promise you, I've been to so many UFO festivals and just wanting to have these conversations and realize how lost are these individuals. That should not make any sense.
Well, what I think too is going to happen more often is there's going to be people with bigger accounts, bigger followings, and more attention that might be paid to they're going to make like uneducated or blanket statements about the UAP and UFO stuff. And so it's going to get some people riled up that have been at this for a while, just trying to be on the grind of like growing their account to, a level to where other people are paying attention to it. And I think it's just going to be a frustration that's going to be played out with some of these people who are going to be like jumping on the bandwagon for the topic and be like, oh, like, like little green men, here they come, like, bro, you don't know what you're talking, like, and so there's going to be that sort of dialogue that's going to be happening. I feel like a lot more often that this is being taken serious now.
What I tell you guys today, I said, I'm super good at taking information, piecing information together, but sucky at editing and all these other things, right? So just being able to talk about it is one of the things I'm good at. And I think it takes communities like these where you can meet other people who can help you into things. Because again, I wouldn't be doing most of this stuff if it wasn't to having all these other individuals. There's so many creators that are in these rooms, and it may be art or things like that. But hell, you can reach out to half of them to get your show off the ground or things like that. That's how I even started my stuff. I don't even know, to this day, I still look at myself and I'm like, I can't believe I was a reporter. Or I guess I am a reporter. That's not what I had on my list when I left Wounded Warrior in 2020, right? Shit, I was just trying to survive, especially when the experience started happening. And I'm like, after the David interview, I got this rush of grief. I don't know how many people got that, but I got this huge rush of grief and I couldn't figure out what it was. Well, I wasn't aware at the time, but whatever the fuck I went through, it fixed me. I survived PTSD, all these other things. I was my better self and I had focus, and I was no longer anyone that's ever dealt with mental health and recovery or anything like that. One of the things you always hurt for and deal with is you don't want to just be that for the rest of your life. Oh, he's the recovered this, or you always strive to be something else. And then I had a moment to breathe and I realized, holy shit, literally the experience gave me everything that I could want out of life without me ever even knowing it. Things that I even missed out as a kid, the war, all these other things. How do you tell people stuff like that? And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing. It all could have been me reacting, and maybe I reacted properly. But synchronicities, the people, the places, I sit here right now and I'm like, this is so absolutely unbelievable. Like, I'm my best self, even though that's still a pretty shitty self. I'm my best self because of these people in this topic. And I can also understand how people would see these as a low G God, like a little G God. Like, I can see how religions would be started about things like this, because when you go outside and it's there, or your friend says, hey, I want my first experience. So you set your alarm at 3:30 in the morning. and you walk outside and it's there, and it's just a continuous thing. And it's like, okay, who's in control here? Are we just reacting to something that's here, and that's the whole point of it, a control system? I mean, I lean that way quite a bit, because I don't know at this point, people are going to think I'm crazy. Is it really the humans that are controlling disclosure? Because I don't think it's the humans controlling disclosure. I can promise you, humans may have helped me a little bit here and there, but every bit of where I went was because of my experience. And it's not just 1, 2, 3, it's over a 3-year period bouncing from here. And I can see left to right, and I'm like, oh shit. Regardless if that disclosure means the apocalypse or not. So it doesn't mean it's good or bad. Shit, I could be bringing disclosure and the apocalypse, but it's like, I don't know what's going on, but it's so metaphysical. You start questioning who you are, your place in the universe, and exactly how this is happening, which is, I guess, what you should do if you're going to become religious and start actually really living. So it's funny that literally aliens gave me everything I needed out of life. Oh Lord.
Well, if
No,
non-human intelligence was driving disclosure, I guess it wouldn't necessarily have to be happening for every single person, just the people that are actually influencing what it is. So and would be crazy if, like, after this, like, there's like a little group of like everybody involved in TTSA was like, we all had the same dream. I don't know if there's like a Midnight Shyamalan movie that's kind of messed up, but it's kind of like that, of like synchronicities. And you know what? I read a book recently with Russell Targ, and he talks about the remote viewing program, the Stargate, of like, it was like a crazy amount of synchronicities that happened for like it to take place and to actually get funding and, you know, all this stuff. So I do think there's an aspect of that, of like, there's something that maybe, like, I don't know, behind the scenes being like, yeah, let's kind of link them up so they think that it's kind of a crazy event, but we're a little bit behind the string, pulling the strings a little bit to get this done.
I agree. But so if you take Keel, you take Fort, right? We're cattle. We're a farm. We're sheep, hybrids. Every race here is doing something with us. They're either fixing their, I guess you would say, their development because they have no ability to recreate, or they're creating things here. These are all things that serious researchers talk about. So what do we do with those things when they're that dark? When you have paperwork that John Keel, who dedicated his freaking life to, says, do not release this. It's too dark. What do you say about things like that? Apparently nothing. Well, thank you, Astral.
Well, they got a lot of things. They got a lot of things that's out there that's really dark stuff. And some people like Gary Nolan's talking about the reason why they're not telling y'all some of this stuff, or showing y'all, is because it's very dark, very bad stuff, So
I agree, OpenEye. I agree. So the secrets, the secret keepers keeping those secrets. Now, is that because it's so dark, or is it because of money, things like that? I think it's because of both. But if our United States government is willing to kill people, which we know they are, then we need to reassess how murders are happening. Because again, guys, electromagnetic low frequency waves is used as a weapon. It's called disease transmission. What that does is it ruptures your DNA and RNA, and it allows for uptakes of different diseases. One of the common ones is cancer. It's an onset cancer that kills you quickly. How many researchers, right? Not just one disease, because this allows you to do multiple things. This is something that's been in MK Ultra for a minute. And here's the wild part. There's names and there's a patent of a device that actually can do these things. So those ELF frequencies that are used to do these, well, guess what? Not just disease transmission, brainwashing. You can take these things, put them together, you can get an ultimate device, right? Or Manchurian type cannon. I hate to use that word, but we need to start reassessing exactly what our government's keeping secret, because a lot of this stuff, if you don't think our government won't reverse engineer an AHI, anomalous health injury, like, oh, dude got near craft and it did this, you're wrong. I've been told that we've had the ability to put, and I think it was what's his name, Ryan Skinner, posted something about Skinwalker Ranch, and we've had the ability to put thoughts in people's heads for a minute. And I'll tell you that by using ELF, these low frequencies, they have ranges, and they're documented ranges. And I'm just going to give you a guess on ranges because I can't remember, but say that 5 hertz, 6 hertz, and 9 hertz, right? 5 hertz allows for that feeling of terror. Now, remember what happens at Skinwalker Ranch when all these orbs come about, right? That's not something we can't do. 7 hertz allows for a comfortable feeling, but then you get elation at the higher one, right? So you can simply turn these things on, secrete these low frequency waves, and people talk about, I think, like if you, what is it? In your home, sometimes if you're near electromagnet, you got a source somewhere, sometimes you can feel these things. People are hypersensitive, so it makes you feel anxiety, terror. We can do that. We can transmit diseases, which would be the easy way. And I imagine if you you knew where to put the device to keep peppering that individual with those low frequency waves, what it does is this. It peppers the body and it destroys the DNA and RNA, allows for better uptake. But one of the common things that ends up happening time after time, this shows up in multiple places, but they leak a viscous fluid after their death because of all of that shit. And this is stuff that's literally in public records released from the CIA, all these type of things. Is that not? I'm telling you now, they're probably in these rooms gaming us right now. Shit.
Well, here, dude, here's my question always when it comes to crash retrievals and the technology that we've been able to back engineer is how close are these civilizations to us in development to where we could actually figure them out? Because it would seem that they would have to be in close enough to us technologically for us to even know what we were doing, if how it would work for it to be useful to us. So are we talking like 100 years that we could be that close to being able to travel or interact like these beings, and that the fact that we've gotten that technology has been able to accelerate our development in being able, because one thing too that I think about is like if crashes were happening and are still happening, it would have to be able to be still played out like real time. Like there would be at least one that would go there where social media would see it and all, unless we had developed technology enough to be able to like detect them early on or take them down if they were close enough to in development to us where they wouldn't even know that they were going to get shot down. So that's kind of just my couple thoughts on what you were saying, Shane.
And I say my points, hypothetically, we had treaties. They explained a little bit to us.
So they gave it to us and knew that it was close enough that we could do it.
Check out the Mage incident as well, because that's 2020. That's some wild shit, right? Go watch, go research, look up the Mage incident. I think it was in Brazil. That's some wild shit there. But time after time, here's what I'm going to point to. As a crash retrieval guy, what never made sense to me is this. You could take Kecksburg, Mage, all these different incidents that were supposed crash retrievals. There's only one way the military's there instantly. Okay? You either know how to track them to take them down, or you just know every time where they're going to crash, which is not the case. We know that. That doesn't make any sense. So we've known for a minute. How have we known? I just postulate, well, we've had these supposed treaties, and if you go look at some of those treaties, they actually talk about that they help you with some unknown and blah, 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 blah. Here's the crazy part, though. Rendlesham Forest, crash treaty. What do they talk about there with, you got Burroughs? Toby and I wrote an article at the record about it, right? His medical records are classified. Well, something to do with DNA. Well, you could take the Hill 166 incident in Russia. One of the things they talk about, DNA. And it's a common thing. Now, what is it with whatever we're taking down, crash retrieval wise, that has to do with the DNA? Is it affecting us in some way? Is it targeting a specific type of DNA, Anunnaki cough? Or what do you think? I don't know. That was just an accidental cough. Lynn, go ahead. Since Astral, I got him. He's all caught up.
Thank you. OldVets, Shane and Astral, I love your spaces. I think Mass was first. I can hang out for a second if he wants to go ahead.
Go ahead, Mass.
Yeah, just a question for I guess everybody, but like based on what Astral was just talking about, I don't know if he's there or not. He was touching on like the point, like how close are we like to these being whatever they are technologically to where we could figure their tech out. I'm wondering if it's possible for whatever is interacting with us to be on such a different wavelength than us altogether. Like we have our science, they have theirs. Like we know what physics are to a certain degree, and they might have a completely different form of physics. So like I wonder if, like, you know, if it's so far out of like human mindset that we just can't figure it out, and they're just like messing with us, like here's this, because like, you know, the reports of abandoned craft, like it seems like they're like just leaving these things here for us to fuck with sometimes. So I'm wondering, like, are they close to us, like to where we could figure out their technology, or are they on such a different wavelength than us altogether to where they're just kind of like seeing like what we can do with it? Just a thought that I always had with it. So
yeah, dude, and I think it might be even different levels of why a lot of people, when they have experiences with the beings, it's in an altered state of consciousness. So there might be like different methods that they're trying to use to be like, well, we dropped the ship, bro. They didn't, it hasn't done much, you know, like maybe we should try this other thing. But I do think there's even a spectrum, like not even one, but there could be like beings millions of years ahead of us, you know, which is crazy.
Absolutely. And then you know, it just what drives me crazy about some of these arguments that people have, like, oh well, you know, these things travel, you know, so and so amount of light years, it just is not possible. Like, it just, they might be sitting next to us right now, just like on a different, you know, what the hell do they call it, the dimensional frame or whatever the fuck. So like, who fucking knows what's really going on out there?
Exactly. Well, here's the other thing, though, too. You made a good comment. You don't need to go faster than the speed of light because, again, you can grow and shrink the ruler. And I do believe the United States government has that capability in some way. They can travel. Let's say they can cancel the inertia, right? So, yeah, I think we're just it's not that there's physics we don't know. Well, no, I'm going to say that wrong. We just are missing some of the physics. You know, we're on the right path, but it's funny that humans think, yeah, we got it all figured out, and it's this right here. Wow, while shit's just popping off left and right. So good point. Go ahead, Lynn, and have to take over for a second.
Thanks. Yes, Mass, absolutely. Astral and OldVet, love your spaces again. Thank you for the space. I just adore your spaces. Love chilling with you guys. You guys are awesome. Okay, so I did actually try to bring this up last night in a space, and my voice got way too shaky, and I get really nervous. But I want to bring it up one more time, and this is that if you might have heard of Donald Hoffman. He's a cognitive psychologist. His work, he's been working on this field particularly for many years. He has many peer-reviewed research papers. You can easily find him. A famous book of his was The Case Against Reality. Okay, so his work has gained so much more traction and attention recently because his theory of conscious realism is gaining so much traction, and it gives us a different framework with which to see reality. So what he suggests is that our perception of reality, it's not an accurate representation of the external world. It's much more like simplified. And we've evolved, it's like an evolved simulation that helps us survive and navigate our environment more effectively. So then he goes on to argue that our senses evolved not to show us the truth, but to hide it. And that is because the ultimate goal for us is to maximize fitness and not necessarily truth. So this is like definitely a challenge to the traditional view, right? It's like he proposes that our perceptions are shaped by natural selection. And what they do is they prioritize our survival and our reproductive success. And that is prioritized over an accurate depiction of the world. You can even look at it just in terms of like our color perception. Our perception of colors is not a direct representation of the true nature of colors. Our brain constructs a simplified and useful representation of colors that help us differentiate objects. It also helps us identify potential threats and also resources, like strawberries, for example, you know?
Could I ask real quick, does he touch on
Yeah.
the possible like evolution of human like senses, for example?
Yes.
Where we could possibly like
Yes.
gaining senses as we go?
Yes. So I think what you were saying, Mass, and what Shane and Astral are also pointing to as well, which is so highly pertinent, it's going to become more pertinent, I think. I'm just watching it. because I think it's just so fascinating and it really clicks for me. And also because I believe that we are not in base reality. I think I mentioned that the other night, Mass, when we were in the space, but yes, he does touch on that. His work is so relevant to the time. It does bring into this idea that we've heard things like, what if they've been here all the time? What if they're simply just out of our visual, all of our senses? Because Hoffman and et al. and his colleagues that have done multiple peer-reviewed research that is gaining more traction and a lot of attention and a lot of respect, it does prove that we're not able to sense and we don't experience what's really true. So if you think about that, then you think about potentially a different intelligence alongside us that might have evolved alongside us, but that can manipulate those, perhaps where they evolved more, or maybe they had some, something to do with our own evolution. That also kind of, for me, aligns a little bit with like what Tom DeLonge has said in his books, as well as his ability not to be able to sleep. A lot of people say, I can't sleep after I know the truth. And that might be because you feel like there might be intelligence in your room with you at the time, because you wouldn't be able to sense them. They're outside of your spectrum. They're outside of your perception. And again, if this is the case, Hoffman also goes on to explain how we are virtually kind of wearing a virtual reality headset. And we're just now in history we've been studying the headset, right? We've been studying everything about the headset, what it does, blah, blah, blah. And only just recently have we begun to think about and study what's outside the headset, what happens when we take it off. Anyways, I'm rambling. Thank you so much.
No, that was super interesting, and I think that's so close to like what's actually going on. Like you brought up the color spectrum, and we operate on a base level that keeps us alive and breathing, like bare minimum. And what if there's beings out there that are able to see all the different frequencies out there when you talk about color, all different types of that shit without going in depth. But I think that's very spot on. I'm gonna look into this guy. Not that I need another rabbit hole, but that was super interesting.
He also talks about even just the subatomic particles. Our understanding of them, even in quantum mechanics, is limited simply because of our perceptual constraints. So our senses aren't even equipped to perceive the true nature of these particles. And currently our scientific models are just abstractions. They just help us make predictions. They're not a true reflection of reality. But anyways, yes, I highly recommend just looking into him. If you look him up, he's got so much peer-reviewed research that's the meaty stuff. Case Against Reality is a book that's, oh my gosh, I couldn't recommend it more.
Did you say his name?
He's got
Donald
great interviews. Hoffman? Donald Hoffman, yes.
Okay.
Thanks again, guys, for letting me ramble.
No, thanks for jumping up. Fernando, what's up, man? I saw Darcy jumped up too. What's up, Fernando?
Oh, Darcy can go first. I'm doing something. I'll go after him.
Cool. What's up, man?
Hey, Fernando. Thanks. I'm at an airport, guys. So if I come through kind of whack, just let me know. Yeah, I really like the case against reality. That's a really interesting point that Lynn made, because, you think about experiencers or abductees that have seen these otherworldly beings, right? And everything she just talked about, you see it in mainstream reality. It's just like hammered into our heads, right? Women have to have massive tits and big bubbly asses and have to inject each other lips and fill them. And dudes have to be at least 6 foot tall, have to be a supreme athlete. But they end up just like beating each other when they're done having sex in like the bedroom. You know what I mean? Because they can't stand each other's like egos or personalities. I don't know. I'm just kind of please don't take what I'm saying too seriously. But it's interesting to just see like, how society really is, and then you hear about abductees and experiencers, and they see these supreme beings that don't seem to have reproductive organs, sometimes like don't have ears, don't have like a slit for a mouth, and their cranial capacity is massive compared to ours. Therefore, they might have larger brains that are better equipped to interpret the greater reality that's around us, right? They may have.
Dude, we can't hear you over the channel announcement.
Yeah, I think Darcy, the channel announcement's drowning you out, brother.
Oh, sorry, guys. Thanks for letting me know. I'll just jump off and listen then. I had no idea. Like I said, I'm in an airport.
No, it's okay.
So.
No, we're glad you're here. Come back, especially if they stop announcing shit. You're welcome to come back. We got halfway through, and all of a sudden that announcement was like, wait, which part's him? We didn't know if that was you going to Japan or what.
Yeah, man. Totally. That's the next stop.
Oh, damn. Nice. Where at, if you don't mind saying it, what general area?
All right, then I'll go.
Hey, man. I don't want to be, I don't want my trolls to follow me.
Yeah, I don't blame you then. I used to be stationed over in Tokyo, so that's why I was asking.
Okay, so what I wanted to share was something that I heard mentioned by quite a few people, including Jeremy Corbell, that apparently there is, they do have, like, government, because they have been studying this for quite some time, so they do have some understanding of some aspects of how the technology works. But the issue is the machines, like the craft, appear to be manufactured in a environment that lacks gravity. So we would have to go. The only way we could kind of replicate that, if we could make it, this material the craft is made out of is a very highly advanced metal material, and it has to be layered in a environment without any gravity. So we would have to go out into space and do this out there. I think the NHIs, they're able to do this regardless of where they are. They don't need to fabricate them out in space. They probably are able to do it anywhere. Um, and that's the main reason why we cannot be at that level of advancement. Think of it as the closest thing. It's probably 3D printing, but imagine a 3D printer that is capable of selecting, the molecules with their specific ratio, like specific isotopes, and then ledgering them like a cake. So we don't have technology that is capable of manipulating matter at that level of where it's very specific and precise like that, and that's part of the impediment. That's why we cannot, and they know this. The NHIs, they know this.
We also don't have the best minds working on
100%
this.
agree too. So essentially, it's this: humans create at the atomic level, and what they are creating at is you just said it yourself, wasn't it?
Isotopes.
Yep.
No. So
they're
molecular, like atoms are smaller than molecules. So these molecules, they're isotopes. So like the whole thing with like the samples that were presented to Gary Nolan that came through Jack Ballet and other people. If you listen to Dr. Nolan's commentary on the composition of these materials, he mentions that there is a high presence of magnesium in this specific type of magnesium. So that sample the one sample that came from Ubatuba, for instance, Ubatuba is a place in Brazil. By the way, Shade is Mage. It's not match. If you say match, nobody's gonna be able to look it up. But it is. It
dude,
is spelled
I'm a gringo, bro.
It's magic. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. So yeah, for example, there is this material that was given to Jacques Ballet that the source of it was this sphere that was witnessed by people in the coastline. A fisherman picked up these pieces of this sphere that just exploded in front of them, and they picked up the pieces. Some of them are in Argentina. There is a museum in Argentina that has some of them, and eventually they made their way through Jack Ballet, and he, you know, you saw it in the film, The Phenomenon, right? He guards these little samples because they're so precious to him, because they have a tendency of disappearing, right? This stuff vanishes. People take it, steal it. So that one sample, when they tested it, it had a type of magnesium that it's only found on Earth through manufacture. And the issue with it is that that sample is from the 1950s. So for us to make that much magnesium in that specific type, it would be it would cost a lot of money, you know, and let alone back in the 1950s. So like the volume of those isotopes in this material is
Nolan
very
touched on
high.
that too.
Yeah, so it's essentially the way that I understand it is the you know, the craft is seamless, right? It has no nuts, no bolts, no, it's all one piece. And the craft itself is its own conductors and cables, and everything is done at the molecular level, and that's why it's effective that way. That's why it works that way. Um, and if you look, if you listen to the what people are reporting seeing, right, and what you may have witnessed yourself, there is a whole array, like a spectrum of what people report seeing, right? So you have like structured craft that behave a certain way, and you also have luminous bodies that behave a certain way. Part of the issue is that people tend to separate things, and they think, oh, well, this luminous thing is not the same as a structured craft, without realizing that they're both the same, because you can have a structured craft that can engulf itself in plasma. It therefore creates its own light. You know, these things don't have light bulbs. They don't have, they're very foreign to our understanding because of the way that we build technology, and the way this technology is made is a different point of view. You know, it's probably the closest thing we have to a UFO is smartphones, to be honest, because if you take a smartphone, if you turn it off, is very sleek, and is a very simple geometric shape, right? It's like a rectangle, and look at all the things you can do with a smartphone. And smartphones, in order the way they work, they use electromagnetic frequencies. A lot of the information is being relayed through microwaves, things like that. That's why uh, I was reading about the whole Havana syndrome thing, and whoever is doing this, they actually manipulate your own devices and make them work against you, and that's how they do this attack thing. So like
Yep,
whatever is in
using
your
low
house,
frequency waves.
yeah,
No
whatever is
shit.
in your house, like your microwave will become a source of the being. Your phone will become a source of the being. Your television, whatever they can tap into, and it has access to electromagnetic frequencies, and people don't realize how much of it, like a modem in your house is using electromagnetic frequencies in order to relay that information into all the devices in the house. The anything that is wireless, anything like even the controller that you use for to control your television or whatever other device, or anything that has Bluetooth, you know. So we already have a lot of technology that whoever is using this weapon, this directed energy weapon that is resulting in these cases of Havana syndrome. Essentially, what they're doing is they're abusing the technology that's already in your house, and they're using it against you without you realizing it, which is terrifying. You know, because you could be just be sitting at home without realizing you're a sitting duck to somebody harming you that way. You know, so yeah, I just wanted to share that.
also up in the nest. And in the thread, I put it's a paper from called Project 1947, and it's analysis of crash removal fragments from different cases. So you can check that shit out. Who was it? OpenEye or Lynn?
Open. What?
Yeah. Well, we're this year we already done seen some crazy stuff on some videos. Some people been taking some camera footage where you could see these invisible planets starting to be visible. I don't know if y'all seen it yet, but there's a lot more to come this year and all the way up to 2027. And y'all gonna be astounded. Some of y'all might be afraid, but I'm past afraid now, you know, because all this crap I'm dealing with. And when she was talking about Huffman, you know, about all this different reality stuff and simulation and stuff, I'm way past Mr. Huffman, okay? Because I could see these things. He can't. He's talking about it. He's trying to figure it out, but I've done figured it all out because I could see stuff like this. You know, they're these invisible beings. They're everywhere. They're in the trees. I mean, they're in the trunk of trees, like big giant trees. They're at the top of the trees. I mean, they're in the clouds. They're in the ground. They're in the grass. They're everywhere. So, I just want to let y'all know what happened. You know, what's going to happen when all at once some of y'all eyes are opened up and y'all could see these things, you know. I don't know what y'all going to do. It might just scare the shit out of all of y'all, you know, but we just got to see.
Better wear your brown pants, people. That's what OpenEye's telling you. Go ahead, Lynn.
Yeah, open eyes. I love that you brought that up because it sounds like either by experience or perhaps even by genetics or by birth or circumstance that perhaps you're more tuned into the field with which we've evolved not to see. Perhaps you have something about you, again, whether it's biologic or experience related. And by the way, experiences certainly do change our brain. In any regard, but especially the paranormal. So I think what you're saying is you're already aware of this, and the people that are researching it and bringing it to light may not have firsthand experience, and that's extremely valid. But I also do I really do love what you said about the no fear aspect, because I think that's critical as well. It can be scary in the beginning, but I think people that have kind of experienced the unexplained, whatever it is, however you've explained it, have been through the fear and have come out the other side to some degree, for sure.
But being afraid of what you don't know or what you don't understand, that's just human nature.
100%.
This is more like when back in the what was it, back in the 60s, we went from black, gray and white television to color TV.
Right.
You know, so like there, or when we went from analog television to digital, and then everything was in HD, and now you have 4K. You know, like same with the telescopes that are out in space, right? We had Hubble. Before that, we had other telescopes. Now we have James Webb, and everybody's getting mind blown by the crispy detail that these photographs and what people don't understand is that it's not new in the sense that that stuff has been there. It's just our perception of it is what changed, you know. So I think people are going to be afraid, but that is just a natural reaction. And after they get over that, it's just going to be accepted. What I really want from all this to come out is some kind of progress that is going to help our species evolve, maybe not biologically, but technologically, and so that we can be healthier overall, we can clean up our mess here.
Well,
But
look at the bipartisan nature of the politics
Yeah.
going on. It's the one thing in this, especially in
Yeah.
the United States, that are actually bringing people together. And I think once it gets to a certain point, that could reach a worldwide state. And I think that's exactly where we need to go, because we are in the dire straits of a lot of fucked up shit happening to this planet and with our species and all kinds of stuff that we need unification of something. I think this might be the only thing to do it.
Yeah, either this or war. I couldn't agree more. I just had a quick question for Old Vet, because it's in the title of the space. And Old Vet, please let me know if Shane, if you don't want to discuss it. I just had a quick question, then I'll drop down. You've been mentioning home-based program. I sometimes when I look at your Twitter, I just feel like you're just like a really incredibly strong person. You're working on shit and you're calling people out when it needs to happen. And if you wouldn't mind, or if this is too personal, that's okay. But if you wouldn't mind explaining a little bit about Homebase, I'd love to hear. Thank you.
It's not too personal, actually. One thing I probably do is TMI on Twitter, because I literally put it all out there. So, Wounded Warrior Project has a thing they have. It's called the Homebase Network, and so they have a series of hospitals such as UCLA. You got Harvard, you got all these other ones, right? And they specialize in PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, and things like that. What was the thumbs down for?
I'm so sorry. It's no,
I
man.
know.
It's
I'm
too
just
close.
messing with
It's
you.
too close
I
to the
knew it
thumbs
was an
up. I'm
accident.
so sorry.
I know. I'm just messing with you. So what they do is they'll pick up the tab. They fly you, like last time I went, which will probably be this time, to Boston. So they'll put me up in a nice hotel, and it's intensive outpatient. But every day it's like 12 hours. You're sometimes on your own, sometimes with doctors, sometimes group sessions, and you're all working CBT. Different programs, just trying to get your shit straight. And it's look.
Is this
As much as I
PTSD
wish I could
related or?
Yeah, for me.
Okay.
Yeah, mine's PTSD. And as much as I really wish I could talk my experience out and complete, the last time I got the closest, and I promise you this, if I get the same doctor when I go back, I'm going to tell her everything, man. She was so cool with what I told her. I'm like, I'm just going to tell her everything. But I've always held back because we're still in a place, which is why Astral's doing UAP med, and that you got to compartmentalize some of that mental health stuff, because not all doctors are going to be taking you seriously. So yeah, it's for me, it's almost like a brain vacation. Like I was talking about earlier, my experience is still going on. It's so crazy. I question my reality, and I know my friends worry about me a lot of the times because I talk about shit that's legit. I know, and I don't know what else. Not really a lot of places to go. So thank you for asking about that. It's a great thing. Home base Wounded Warrior Project. So thank you for asking about that, Lynn.
It's interesting when you talk about telling your friends some of that stuff, because I'm not an experiencer. I've had ghostly encounters, if you will, spirits, whatever that side, but I haven't had experiences in like with UFOs, for example. But like even when you just talk, like when I talk to my friends about UFOs and what's going on right now, like they I don't want to say they're pretending to be interested. They're interested, but it's just like in one ear out the other. Like so, like if I could only imagine having to talk to them about like some of the more advanced stuff that people deal with on a daily basis. It's gotta be a little bit rough.
It can be, but then look, it's also the opposite for me too, because I'm around people that I do nothing but talk about it with. I probably talk about it too much, and I probably talk about things that I shouldn't. And like, I'm probably the only dude that's got shit on his dating profile related to this that probably shouldn't be on there. And then I'll have a conversation with a new date and scare her the fuck off like that.
You're not the only one. I do have alien shit on mine.
I don't hold back, dude.
Worth it.
It helps vet a little bit of some of the people away that I don't want to fucking talk to anyways.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Having all that alien shit on there helps me weed out the weirdos, right? The ones that don't believe.
Fucking normies.
But yeah, it was actually the other night. I was trying to tell a joke. See, was French still in here? She's the one that told me the joke was shitty because she was right. So I was trying to tell a joke because if you Splenda apparently, or these sweeteners rupture your RNA DNA. Remember what I said about ELF earlier? So I made a joke about how Splenda was the new ELF, and it was for mind control with a little mind control gif. And I don't think it was near as funny as I thought, especially as niche as you had to be to understand what the hell I was saying. Here I am making mind control jokes from AK Ultra. People are like, what the fuck's wrong with this guy?
No, meanwhile, there are people like us that see it and we're like, yeah, man, we know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like I said, it helps vet some of the people away that I don't want to deal with anyways, for the most part. That's kind of like a blanket statement. That's not necessarily totally true, but a little bit.
Yes. I agree. No, I know what you're saying, though, too. But hey, guys, I hate to say this, but I've been postponing the inevitable. I should probably today for sure go home. So I need to make sure I go in and get my shit together and go catch the train. I've been literally putting stuff off and just staying in Portland, and I don't even live here. So I'm going to have to end the space. Do me a favor, retweet, follow all the speakers. Carl, what do you got to say, bro?
Just a quick one. Donald Hoffman and Lex Friedman did a 3-hour chat on YouTube about a year ago. If anyone want to check that out.
Yes.
Oh, damn. Thanks.
Carl, thank you.
Nice. Carl, put it in this thread, too, if you can tweet or put it in here. And guys, do me a favor. Like I said, follow all the speakers, everybody in these rooms, right? Just and keep it positive, not like me today, and don't pay any attention to anything I put out today. That wasn't me. Astral's in there like, Shane's trying to kill everybody. No, that's not what was happening.
I thought you were going to talk about Julia.
I was earlier today. That's all I would talk about, aliens. I don't need none of that violent shit. All right, guys, thanks for coming in here, and I should be doing more when I get home.
Have a safe journey back home, Shane. Have a safe and fun journey.
Thanks, Fernando.
Don't forget to look out the windows.
I won't. It's going to be a nice 5-hour train ride. So, all right, guys, take it easy. Bye.
All right, ciao.